Hello from the game cafe La Base Secreta in Valencia. This time I'm going to show you a game by the Czech board games company called Shuffle Heroes. It was released at Spiel 2015 and it's a bit of a depart from the usual humorous games that they have produced in the past. But is it a good enough game to warrant the amount of money you have to spend to get your hands on it? Welcome to the GMS Magazine review videos. In Shuffle Heroes, a game for two players, each player it's going to be basically trying to kill each other's opponents. Who are the opponents? Well, we have 7 characters and each one is going to have a number of abilities. The display you see here is a full display of all the game's components except of course the box. And yes, you can see a little gap in here. We found a card missing. Thank goodness it's not the card that you need, because what we get for each character is your character card with the abilities and the number of hit points that the character is going to have, a little bit of a story, a portrait, and then the deck of 10 cards that you're going to be using for each character. Therefore, missing a little bit of the story, although it's a pity, because the story, the myth behind the whole thing is actually pretty good, but it's not going to be detrimental for how the game plays at all. So it's a bit of a shame, but it's not a big deal. You also get a card, well, 2 cards, both-sided, one with the game setup and another one with a turn sequence, which is quite handy to have, one for each player, and the rule book. The rule book has been very nicely laid out, and if I'm going to show you everything, it's very well put together to make sure that you know exactly what everything is. Now, although it looks absolutely beautiful, it has a bit of an issue in that it leaves some of the very necessary rules to the sides. Now, you cannot miss them. They are pretty obviously there, but it's a shame that some of this information is not where it should be, which is in the main body of the rules. You're not going to miss anything. It's just at some point it might be a little bit confusing, but on the other hand, some people might find it easier because it explains things like the onwards effect, which means that you can have another go. We'll go into the rules in a second. Otherwise, it looks beautiful. It shows absolutely everything that it's meant to be showing, and they're clear enough. A few niggles here and there, but again, nothing major. It's been done very nicely. It has some rules clarifications in here, everything to do with how the icons work and what they mean, and again a little bit of the story behind all the characters, which is, again, it's a lovely touch. I really like. The tokens that you get, these are the tokens that are either shields, they are double-sided, so you get 1 shield or 2 shields, or you get hit points that you put on the characters once they get hit, so you can keep count of how many hit points they have already taken, and you get 1 point, 5 or 10, and again these are double-sided, so the 5 and the 10s are exactly the same things. They're a bit too thin for my taste, although they are quite rigid, so it's a very good quality cardboard that it will last, but they could have done with being a little bit thicker, maybe twice as thick, but they do what they are meant to do. The quality of the cards is good. You should, of course, sleeve these cards, which I haven't done yet, shame on me, but they are very nice. The printing is absolutely lovely, and as you can see, the illustrations are just absolutely gorgeous. The box is tiny, it's not very big, which means that you can take with you pretty much anywhere you like. We did this, we took it for a 2-week trek to Argentina and Brazil where we played the game, and you know, it barely took any space in our suitcases, and we had a great deal of fun. How does it play? Every player takes 2 of these characters. You just choose them however you prefer, you know, 2 at the same time, randomly, whatever it is. And then you choose and take a deck of 10 cards, and you can take both decks and mix them together. This is kind of a deck building-ish fighting game. So you will be discarding cards, putting cards in the void, which means that they will not be used again, and then retaking all the cards when you need to shuffle them, etc., etc. During your turn, you can do one of three things. You can either play one of the hero's action. Every hero gives you an advantage, and every hero has an action. And they play very, very well indeed. And better still, they play very well together. You can place a card from your hand onto the table, just one, or you can replenish your hand. If you have less than 4 cards, then you can discard all the cards you have and take 6 new cards. But then that means that you cannot put anything, you cannot attack, you cannot do anything at all. At the beginning of the next round, your next round, you will resolve persistent events, and again I will explain what they are in a second, and then discard all the cards that you have on the table and play another card. Simple as that. And then resolve the effects from the top to the bottom. Every card may have 1 or 2 effects. So if you can resolve both effects, yay. If you can only resolve one effect, that's what you have. You also discard the shields and you inflict the damage to your opponent. The cards have different effects, like for example the onwards or the persistent effect. Onwards means that once you put your card on the table, you can take another action, you can put another card on top of that, but just one. So if you put 2 onward cards one after the other, that doesn't mean that you can take a 3rd card or a 4th card. It's just one card. If you have onwards, it's an extra card. If it has the persistent effect, that means that you can leave it on the table. You do not discard that card at the end or at the beginning of your round, which can be very useful when you want to build up some of the effects. Some of the decks have more of those cards than another. The game is fun. I mean, this is as simple as that. There are no more mechanics to it. That's what it is, but there are an awful lot of exceptions. Every card is going to have its own effect. So you have to learn what every card is going to do and whether it's going to mix well with another character or not. They all mix well, but some of them really do mix very, very well indeed. A really cool thing is that every character is very idiosyncratic. There are no 2 characters alike. There are no 2 characters that will do exactly the same things in the same way. So it's not just milking the cow. They truly have their very own personalities, and those personalities are being reflected in their own decks. There is little else to say about how the game plays. Do I have niggles with it? A couple of them. Sometimes it became a little bit difficult for us to understand whether when you exchange a card with an opponent, which is something you can do. There are some cards that will give you the effect of actually taking a look at the card from your opponent and then decide if you want to void it. Void means that you get rid of it completely. It doesn't get discarded. It just goes away and is never ever used again. That can be really annoying if you get a card that your opponent needs, and actually diminishes the number of cards that you would be able to play. So from 20 to have 15 cards, that makes quite a difference. So you have to be very careful with that. But sometimes when you took that card, it didn't really explain if you keep it in your hand and then put it back in your discard pile, or if you had to give it back to your opponent to put it in their discard pile, void it, or something like that. So it was a little bit confusing. We had to improvise a little bit because we didn't have access to the internet where we were. But once we sorted that one out, the game played very, very smoothly, and it played really, really well. There were a couple of production issues as well as missing that one card in here. A couple of the cards had some typos. One of them even had some editor notes that had not been deleted. Again, they don't really interfere with how the game plays, but it's a little bit annoying. It's one of those niggles that, I'm paying money for a game. I want it to be really as well done as possible. It didn't put me off at all. We played the game quite extensively, but I just thought, damn, some people are going to complain quite bitterly about it. That's it. The game is really simple to play. I really enjoy the replayability of the game itself, because the combinations are going to give you very different gaming experiences, and I also like that it can be expanded quite easily. A game can last anything between 20 minutes and 40 minutes, depending how well you're doing, how well you know your cards, and how experienced you are. But it's a very, very quick game. It doesn't take for ages to play. I have enjoyed this game a lot, as well as looking gorgeous, taking little plays. It is a very fun game. You can do an awful lot combining the different decks and having, you know, good fun voiding a card to inflict yourself some damage so you can inflict some damage to somebody else, or deciding whether discarding pretty much your whole hand to inflict 3 damage it's going to be enough. The game ends when both characters of your opponent have been killed. You have to inflict between 14, 13 or 15 points depending on what character we're talking about. The stronger characters are the ones that will be able to inflict damage to themselves in order to actually damage your opponent or take a look at their cards or void another cards. And the weaker cards are the ones that actually can do more damage to your opponent. So everything has been very, very neatly balanced, so you don't feel that there is a power struggle anywhere, which is very nice indeed. I recommend this game. I have enjoyed it. I am really hoping that it will expand and it will get an awful lot better. Yeah, a couple of niggles here and there, but absolutely nothing major at all. And you know, I reckon if they made this game collectible, it could be an absolute hoot, because getting new characters all the time and being able to create your own decks and mixing characters, yeah, I can see myself playing this game again and again and again. And it has been played several times on my game cafe, and people have had an absolutely fantastic time. So if you get the chance, do take a look, play this game, because it's actually possibly, I'm going to put my hand in fire on this. This is possibly the best game the Checkboard Games has ever produced. So my very, very many congratulations to Jan for getting out a really excellent Lyric game. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and please do remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so to the channel, and keep an eye on us because we will be getting you some more reviews and unboxings very, very soon indeed. Thank you.